Hello there again, railfan friends. This is Locomotive Mike. Today we're going on a tour of the busy Nichols Junction, which is a crossroads for the BNSF Railway in Springfield, Missouri. This is Nichols Junction. It's the convergence of the BNSF Railway Springfield Division's Cherokee Subdivision and Fort Scott Subdivision. Our first train is this southbound coal drag rolling off the Fort Scott sub. These high-tonnage former Frisco main lines funnel through the junction into a double-track line leading to BNSF's Springfield yard and hub. The Fort Scott sub sees traffic to and from Kansas City. Trains consist mostly of coal and general merchandise. Coal trains coming through Springfield originate in the Powder River Basin mines in Wyoming and are bound for power plants in Springfield and other cities in the southern states. Listen in as the distributed power units whine as they push the rear of the train through the curve. Note the former Burlington Northern unit still in its original executive unit paint from the 1990s. Next up, it's an eastbound Monette local on the Cherokee sub. It includes two former Santa Fe units still in their war bonnet colors. The Cherokee sub sees traffic to and from Tulsa and includes trains for the original Santa Fe Transcon at Avard, Oklahoma. Other traffic comes from Texas. On this route, you'll mostly see high-priority intermodals along with general merchandise trains and a limited number of coal trains. Beyond the Springfield terminal, the main lines split and head off to St. Louis and Memphis. Now let's head to Eldon Street on the east side of Nichols. It doesn't take long before another loaded coal train off the Fort Scott sub comes creeping around the curve. Milepost 241 marks the distance from St. Louis. Here we see the helpers giving it their all for this last 1 mile into the yards. Notice yet another former BN executive unit. This crew has just minutes to go before quitting time. Springfield Yard, just around the bend, is a crew change point for all trains. Minutes later, we hear a horn coming up the Cherokee sub. It's a mixed freight coming in from Tulsa. this lash-up includes a City Rail lease unit. Just as soon as this eastbound train clears the crossing, a mixed freight bound for Tulsa, headed up by 5 units, blares through. Next, we head back to the west end of Nichols at the Meteor Street crossing, aptly named after the Frisco's premier passenger train from a bygone era. Now we're alongside the Fort Scott sub looking toward Nichols. Signals telling us more trains must be on the way. Kansas City is 198 miles behind us. Traffic has certainly been weighted in favor of the Cherokee sub so far today. Here we see a hotshot intermodal train rolling into view. This train originates at the ports of Southern California and is carrying containers full of merchandise from Asia. It traveled the original Santa Fe Transcon to Avard, Oklahoma, where it switched to former BN rails with a trek through Tulsa to Springfield. Finally, the Fort Scott sub gets some action. The rails begin to sing under the vibrations of this empty coal train heading back to Wyoming. The train ducks under Interstate 44 and heads off into the sunset. After a few hours of rail fanning, we're getting a bit hungry. Looks like someone else had the same idea. Soon comes another empty coal train headed north, led by another one of those former BN units. Just as we're getting ready to pack up for the day, we see another headlight in the distance come into view on the Fort Scott sub. We're glad we stuck around to see this loaded coal train roll in, led by these two run-through Union Pacific units. Both Union Pacific and BNSF are represented in the DPUs, bringing up the rear of the train. And I hope you've enjoyed your trip to Springfield, Missouri and Nichols Junction. Stay tuned for all kinds of other railroad trip and railfan videos coming right to this site. If you've not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. We'd certainly appreciate that, and we could get those latest videos to you when we get those done. I'm Locomotive Mike, and as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.